Feel good?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, howdy and welcome back. Meat fabrication series part deuce. How to fabricate a fish. So I am a firm believer in being able to know how to break down whole animals. You can save money, you can buy things whole, you can portion it, you can freeze it, you can save it for later. You can just be a better person by knowing how to do it. When you start with these small things like chicken and fish, it builds your confidence up so that when you do have, say, the opportunity to buy a whole pig or a side of beef or a whole lamb, you've got your skill set up a little bit so that it's not so scary. I have this most amazing, beautiful sockeye salmon, wild caught from Washington State. A few technical terms when you're buying whole fish from either the grocery store or your fishmonger or the butcher. This technical term for how this fish came to me is called H&G, or headed and gutted, meaning the head has been removed and the fish has been viscerated and all of the organ meat has been removed. When you're buying fresh fish, you can kind of see this slime that's coating the outside of my hands. That's actually a good thing. That natural slime is on the fish when it's pulled out of the water. So the fact that it's still on this fish when it's coming to me means the fish is probably pretty fresh. Second, you want to give the skin, or the flesh rather, a little poke. And you want to make sure that that flesh springs right back up to its original state. That's also going to ensure that the fish hasn't been out of the water very long. If the head was still on, you can see the gills that are just behind the cheekbones there. You want to make sure that they're kind of like bright and red and still full of blood. A lot of times when I'm doing any kind of butchery, especially fish, I like to get rid of the things that I don't want to use. So I want to go ahead and just kind of remove some of these outer fins, just because I feel like they tend to kind of get in the way. So I'm going to cut this one off here. These are just some heavy duty kitchen shears. I'll cut off the top fin here, my bottom fins. Just make a cut, separate the collarbone here. All right, so you can see I'm going to have a series of all of these bones that are going to connect. This is what we call the belly of the fish. So this is like the top half of the fillet, the bottom being the belly. They're going to connect the belly to the center part of the fish, which connects to the spine, which runs all the way through. So first things first is I need to crack or break all of these bones all the way down. So I'm just going to take my knife. I'm going to angle it towards the center of the fish so that if I cut into the meat at all, I'm cutting towards, or I'm cutting in and not damaging any of the flesh. And I'm just going to come straight through here. And I'm not cutting all the way through at this point. I'm just cutting to break these bones. Okay, you can see my knife's just barely going in. Little sounds of victory as I pull through those. You're going to kind of cut all the way to this back fin here, just to open it up. We've got the bones broken here. I like to keep, when I'm breaking fish especially, just because there's so much of this like outer slime that's on the outside of the fish, gets on your hands. I like to keep it off of my knife. So knife goes in just behind where the head would be, on top, or in between these bones, on top of the fillet. We're going to go ahead and start making long, broad strokes all the way down. At this point, I'm just going to push my knife all the way through. Okay. And then that baby should come off. One fluid motion like that. All right, so before I flip her over, I'm gonna go ahead and go through again right here. Okay, so we'll go through, just kind of feel for these little tiny pin bones here, sticking out of the flesh. And you wanna pull towards the head with them, because that's the way they're naturally coming into the fillet. So you want to pull with the grain rather than against the grain. Nice and tacked here. fresher the fish, the more stubborn the bones, because that meat is still nice and firm and taut, wrapped around those little pin bones here. Okay, pin bones are out. We just have this last round of bones here that run along the top of the belly. You just want to angle your knife towards them. And we're just going to make long, broad strokes here to try and slide underneath them. You're naturally going to take a little bit of the flesh with you. It's just par for the course, but we just try and minimize the damage here. There's that collarbone. So if I'm going to freeze fish at home, I would wrap this in a double layer of plastic wrap and then in foil so that it doesn't get freezer burned. You could cut them into portions first if you wanted to freeze them that way. Whatever you feel that the best home application is for you. For all my intents and purposes today, I'm going to go ahead and leave the skin on. I love salmon skin. I feel like it just is so full of flavor and it has the ability to get so crispy when seared in like a cast iron pan. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Follow us on social media, all the usual suspects, where we share new tips, tricks, and recipes weekly of all my favorite dishes that I love to make at home. Okie dokie. Anything else we want to get?